The cost of becoming a copy. Chapter 1, The Life You Never Chose. What if the greatest threat to your future is not failure? What if it is duplication? Not the obvious kind of duplication where someone copies your hairstyle or repeats your words. I'm talking about something deeper, the duplication of desires, spending habits, careers, relationships, opinions, entire lives. Many people are not consciously designing a life, they are downloading one. They inherit a definition of success from their family. They inherit a definition of attractiveness from social media. They inherit a definition of wealth from entertainers. They inherit a definition of adulthood from coworkers. They inherit a definition of happiness from strangers who may not even be happy themselves. And then they spend years trying to succeed inside a life they never examined. This is not an argument against learning from other people. Imitation is one of the ways human beings learn. We learn language through imitation. We learn skills through observation. We learn social behavior by watching the people around us. But learning from a person is different from abandoning yourself for them. There is a point where inspiration becomes surrender. There is a point where belonging becomes self erasure. There is a point where the desire to fit in becomes more expensive than the loneliness you were trying to escape. And some people are paying that price with money, mental health, relationships, and their future. The modern copy machine. Modern culture is an extraordinary copy machine. The algorithm does not need to know who you truly are. It only needs to predict what will keep you watching. That means the version of you being fed by the algorithm may not be your wisest self. It may be your most anxious self, your most curious self, your loneliest self, your most envious self, your most emotionally reactive self, your most easily influenced self. You may think you are freely exploring the world while the platform is repeatedly narrowing the world around your previous reactions. You watch one video about a luxury car, now you see 10. You pause on one designer apartment, now your ordinary home feels inadequate. You watch one person announce that everyone should travel before turning 30, suddenly your peaceful life begins to look like failure. You see only one highly edited morning routine. Now waking up, washing your face, and going to work feels insufficient. Nothing in your life changed. The comparison entered the room, and comparison is capable of turning sufficiency into embarrassment. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight is out of mind. We rarely desire things we don't know exist. Think about how many concerts you never wanted to attend because you never saw the promotional video. How many devices did not feel necessary until someone demonstrated them? How many restaurants were absent from your plans until an influencer recorded a dramatic reaction? How many clothing brands never mattered to you until they appeared repeatedly on people you admired? How many destinations entered your bucket list because they appeared in someone else's highlight reel? This raises an uncomfortable question. How much of your bucket list was born from genuine curiosity, and how much of it was placed there by exposure? Some goals are not are connected to education. Some are connected to wonder. Some are connected to healing, spiritual growth, family history, adventure, or meaningful personal development. But other goals are merely screenshots of someone else's life. We do not always want the experience. Sometimes we want the social meaning attached to the experience. We want to say we were there. We want the photograph. Excuse me for a second. They have a wasp that's desperately trying to get in here. I guess the window must be too clean to think that it's not there. I don't know. Anyways, we want the photograph. We want the reaction. We want the evidence that we are being not being left behind. The danger is not seeing new possibilities. Exposure can expand the life. The danger is failing to distinguish between discovery and programming. That question can save people thousands of dollars. It can also save years. The luxury norm. I don't know why that didn't. Oh, I guess all of these was supposed to see when I thought it was doing that earlier. Never mind. We're going to go in order. Luxury is supposed to be exceptional, but inside a socially homogeneous group, luxury can become ordinary. When everyone in the circle wears expensive brands, takes similar vacations, drives certain class of vehicle, and eats at the same fashionable places, those things stop feeling optional. They become the membership fee. The expensive purse is no longer a treat. It becomes evidence that you belong. The vehicle is no longer transportation. It becomes proof that you're progressing. The vacation is no longer rest. It becomes a public performance of success. The clothes are no longer fabric. They become protection against exclusion. This is how a social group can quietly determine a person's cost of living. You and your expenses are not only influenced by rent, transportation, food, and utilities, they may also be influenced by the people whose approval you fear losing. Some people do not have an income problem, they have an audience problem. They spend their wait, let me make sure this microphone on too, because I forgot to do that. I think I did. Yeah, I did. Never mind. Better safe than starry eyed. Their spending is financing a character they perform for people who are not contributing to the bill. And the performance becomes exhausting because the character must constantly be updated. The shoes must remain current. The phone must remain current. The car must look current. The body must look current. The home, the lifestyle must look effortless. But effortless appearances often require extraordinary labor. Section 4. Who now I have to pause. Section 4. Who taught you to want it? Philosopher René Girard described desire as mimetic, which the meaning of mimetic is, I'm looking it up for you, relating to, constituting, or habitually practicing mimesis. Well, what the hell is mimesis? Anyways, whatever mimesis is, the basic idea is that people often learn what to desire by, oh, mimesis is like miming, like mimetic. See, root words really be working. Yeah, I had to think for a second. I wasn't thinking. The basic idea is that people often learn what to desire by observing the desires of others. The object gains emotional value because a model, celebrity, friend, rival, partner, coworker, or creator appears to value it. Girard's theory does not mean that every desire is false. It invites us to examine how often another person stands between us and the object we believe we independently chose. Hopefully, when my audience is like an audience where I know what type of people here, because it said 3,000, which is crazy because the view still is the same as 600 people, but nevertheless, I hope that we get to a point to where we don't need disclaimers for everything. Like having to say that does not mean that doesn't mean this and not every that. Like that's all I'll say. You may not want the bag because of its stitching. You may want the identity represented by the person carrying it. You may not want the car because of its engineering. You may want the social authority you believe comes with driving. You may not want the relationship because it is healthy. You may want it because society treats partnership as proof that you are desirable. You may not want the job because the daily work fits you. You may want it because the title receives praise. The question is not simply, what do I want? A more revealing question is, who taught me that this was worth wanting? And an even deeper question, what does this desire promise to prove about me? That I'm successful, attractive, intelligent, escaped poverty, that my family was wrong about me, that my former partner lost someone valuable, that I belong in a particular room. And for people who have all of that going on, baby, when if you ever break away from it, you're gonna save so much energy because I too have been in a path similar to you. And it's like nothing that you do could ever get through to those people. They really, like, if you're trying to prove something to a person, the goalpost is always going to move. Simple as that. But me stating that as simple as that does not mean that the process of breaking away from that is as simple as that, because clearly all my videos talk about patterns and all this other stuff and making changes in behavior. So if anyone knows, I know, or at least my scripts know. So objects can carry emotional assignments that they can never complete. A purchase cannot permanently repair shame. A title cannot manufacture self respect. A relationship cannot provide an identity stable enough to survive abandonment. A social media following cannot guarantee genuine intimacy. When we ask external things to perform, perform internal labor, disappointment is inevitable. Strike of the braces. I have to talk like this just to get words out right. Otherwise, it's not bad though. My favorite, I have a whole video about this. The hedonic treadmill. The new thing feels powerful at first. The box arrives, the notifications increase. People compliment you. You feel elevated. For a moment, the purchase seems to have worked. Then the brain adapts. The extraordinary becomes ordinary. The new car becomes the car. The new home becomes the place where you take out the trash. The expensive phone becomes the object you use to check email. The designer shoes become the shoes you avoid wearing in the rain. Research on hedonic adaptation examines how the happiness connected to positive changes and purchases can fade as people adjust and their expectations rise. This is why the marketplace must keep producing a new version. The previous version must become emotionally obsolete before it becomes functionally obsolete. The product may still work, but the identity attached to it has expired. So people return to the treadmill, a more expensive purchase, a more exclusive experience, a larger audience, a higher status room, another temporary spike, then adaptation, then restlessness, then another purchase. If your peace depends on receiving something new, your peace now belongs to whoever controls the release schedule. And if you're one of those people that don't like the rich, just know that some of them dollars in their pocket came from you. So yeah, financial literacy and being financially responsible would be the biggest form of rebellion for all of the people who feel like economy is bad, that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Like, don't be the poor person that's making the rich person rich. If you're gonna be poor, life need to be hard to make you poor. Stop making yourself poor. Easier said than done. I get it. The missing refund. There is no refund for a trend that dies. A closet may contain thousands of dollars in purchases that no longer hold practical or emotional value. Fast fashion relies on rapid turnover. Hype culture relies on urgency. Luxury culture often relies on symbolic scarcity. Technology culture relies on making the present feel outdated. But when the excitement ends, the payment remains, not to mention interest. That is the missing refund. You do not receive your money back when the group changes its aesthetic. You do not receive interest because the shoes are no longer popular. You do not recover the opportunity cost because the phone stopped generating attention. Consider an illustrative example. A person spends $2,500 on a trend-driven purchase. If that same $2,500 hypothetically, and by the way, the dollar sign is before the digits. It is always before the digits when you're associating with money. If you put it after, you're going to be broke for the rest of your life because clearly you don't even know what money is. Hypothetically earned an average of 7% annually for 10 years, it would grow to approximately $4,918 before taxes and fees, dollar sign before the digit. The point is not that every dollar must be invested. The point is that the dollar sign is before the digit. Anyways, life should include joy. The point is to recognize the invisible future attached to present money. That difference may represent an emergency fund, a vehicle repair, training for a new career, moving expenses, a medical deductible, the ability to leave a toxic job, the ability to survive a period of unemployment, the ability to say no without immediately becoming homeless. Opportunity cost is not just lost money, it is lost optionality. And optionality is one of the purest forms of freedom. The 6-month rule. Well, that's an example from what I read earlier. And you see, look at that. Look at that dollar sign right there. Because my screen, I swapped around so I could be facing the air conditioner because it's 110-degree heating index. And I don't want to look like a baked bean while I'm doing videos. That's why you see all of this different stuff in the background. You see all my business in the background. Opportunity cost is freedom. That's not the next one, though. There we go. The 6-month rule. Technology provides a beautiful example of the premium people pray for newness. A new device launches, people line up, reviews flood the internet, creators unbox it under dramatic lighting. The emotional message is not merely this device is available. The message is the future has arrived and your current device belongs to the past. But the physical device you owned yesterday did not deteriorate overnight. Its social meaning changed. For many consumers, waiting several months creates room for promotions, trade-in changes, refurbished inventory, competitive offers, and clearer long-term reviews. That is what I call the 6-month rule. I remember when the iPhone, I think it was the 13, was the phone at the time, and I had just my I was separated from my then phone on Canal Street helping tourists out. So the person, they came out with a red one a few months after the original one, and the person sold me a brand new iPhone 13. Well, almost brand new because he only used it for a few months, but he had it in the outer box. So it was a brand new iPhone 13 with mileage on it for $300, and that phone was worth like $1,000, but no one wanted to buy it except me. Before buying a newly released device, wait long enough for the emotional temperature to fail or fall, not fail. Well, fail too. Ask, what does this device allow me to do that my current device cannot? Will that difference increase my income, protect my safety, improve accessibility, support education, or meaningfully improve daily life? Or am I paying a premium to experience newness before other people? There is nothing immoral about buying a new phone. The issue is unconsciousness. A conscious purchase can be expensive and still be wise. An unconscious purchase can be cheap and still wasteful. Section 8, borrow maps on uncharted territory. Some people are struggling because they're using someone else's map on their own uncharted territory. They follow career advice from someone with different strengths. They copy relationship advice from someone with different emotional needs. They follow financial advice from someone with a different income, family structure, location, risk tolerance, and support system. They copy a lifestyle built for someone else's nervous system. Then they blame themselves when the map does not fit. A person who thrives in constant stimulation may give terrible advice to someone who needs solitude to think clearly. A person with family wealth may give incomplete advice about risk to someone without a safety net. A person who loves competition may recommend an environment that destroys a highly reflective person. A person living in a low-cost city may make another person feel irresponsible for struggling in a higher cost city. Your life has terrain, it has weather, it has history, injuries, responsibilities, gifts, limitations, unfinished construction. Get to work. The path must account for the land. Individuality is not the refusal to receive guidance. It is the wisdom to adapt guidance before applying it. Your terrain. Give you a second to look at that. The INFJ adaptation to trap. For viewers who are identified with INFJ traits, this topic may feel especially personal. Personality typing should be treated as a lens, not a medical diagnosis or permanent cage. But many people who identify as INFJs describe themselves as highly observant of emotional atmosphere, sensitive to contradiction, deeply reflective, and skilled at recognizing patterns in human behavior. Those abilities can be strengths. They can also create a particular danger. You may become so skilled at reading the room that you forget to read yourself. You understand what other people need. You understand what makes them comfortable. You understand the version of you that each environment awards. So you adapt. You, at work, you become efficient and agreeable. Around family, you become quiet and useful. Around friends, you become the listener. Inside a relationship, you become emotionally fluent enough for two people. Online, you become whatever receives the least resistance. This can look like emotional intelligence from the outside, but internally, it has become disappearance. Individuality does not require cruelty. You do not need to become cold to become distinct. You do not need to reject every group to disagree for attention. You simply need a self that continues to exist after everyone else enters the room. A healthy INFJ does not merely understand the emotional weather. A healthy INFJ knows when not to build a home inside of a storm. Membership is not connection. Many people have never experienced meaningful connection, unless you knew me. If you knew me, you experienced meaningful connection because my goal was to always give people what I never have. And that's why I'm good on people. It's no hate. It's just for me. I have a certain way of dealing with people, and if it can't be matched, then there's really no point. Or if it doesn't have to be intense, people need to stay in their lane. If we cool, stay cool. Don't be cool one day and then expecting me to save you for stuff that the people around you not even worrying about. Or maybe to save face, you hid it from them. Don't make me your secret savior. Or situations where you listen well, because we live in a distracted world. World probably been distracted, but we distracted with devices now for some people. And it's like the person who always have to vent, they often don't know how to listen, because the pattern that you created with them is that they're the speaker, you're the couch, they're the person sitting on the couch. A couch can't sit on you. So when you become the couch for people, you get sat on. And you be the bed for people, you get slept on. And that's just a learned experience. Not to mention, the average person sees things that they want and automatically think they deserve it. People don't look at things and connections and relationships and materials and say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't get that because I lose everything. Maybe I shouldn't try to expect this person to be my friend because I know I don't remember birthdays. I don't reciprocate. I borrow money and I don't pay it back. People don't do that. And for me, I mean, people do it, but the I'm thinking about specific people. That's what I need to clear up, because when I be trying to speak general, I don't be thinking in general. I be thinking specifically. It's a specific type of person in that aspect. They could be different in any other way. They could be 100 feet tall. They could be a midget. They could be fat. They could be skinny. They could be a doctor. They could be a fireman. But at the end of my point is that people really think they deserve everything that they want. And long story short, they don't, including me. They don't. No, like, no. Stay away. They have experienced membership. Membership says we wear the same things. Not to mention, though, I already have an idea of the way the world works in comparison to what I used to think about the way the world worked. And based on that current and constantly growing, because I'm always learning, point of view, certain people, many people are liabilities. And they're spoiled being liabilities because they were able to mask obligation to be connected to them through long-term friendships, through shared groups with people. That's why you notice people who are in environments like people who into gym culture, people who into church, people who into ethnicity and race stuff. Those people use that connection. If they share with you, if they go to church with you, they feel like you're supposed to talk to them. If they work with you, they feel like you're supposed to talk to them. If y'all the same color, they feel like you're supposed to talk to them. And it don't work that way, because people, there's all kinds of bad actors, all colors, all religions, all beliefs. It's bad people who down to do stuff at the gym. It's bad people at churches. It's bad people in Black community and other communities and stuff like that. Like so no. And that's my issue. A lot of people don't know how to think outside of whatever their belief is. If they call themselves religious, even though they don't know the Bible, because a lot of the stuff they say and do, they it's like they try to project that way of thinking on everyone else, even though we all are molded by our life experiences, our influences, and our goals. But for whatever reason, a person will take their little life that they lived in the same area and tell people from a completely different place with completely different rules, completely different struggles, that they weak, or you shouldn't have did this, or you shouldn't have did that. And it's very annoying, honestly. I like for people to put in work. Like, I have times where I have conversations with people in public, but guess what? They got to put in work, because you ain't gonna ever see me again. So you better make it work, make it twerk, because you're not about to get around too, baby, at all. At all. Because I mean, the stuff I would like to talk about, no. We dislike the same people. We watch the same creators. We repeat the same beliefs. We attend the same places. We use the same language. We defend the group. Connection says, I am curious about who you are when you are not performing. I really do be curious about that. I can hear a different perspective without treating it as betrayal. Facts. I do not require you to shrink so I can remain comfortable. Yeah, baby, because I'm the biggest. What you mean? And I mean, you could shrink, you could be like Ant-Man or the Megazord on Power Rangers and multiply. I'm happy for you. You could get wings and fly. You could become a rocket and start shooting fire out your ass and shoot out to outer space. I'm rooting for you. For me, I don't ever look at people and want what they have. I probably had that when I was younger about certain things, and it was a specific situation. But in general, baby, I don't want what people have because I don't know what they did to get it, and I don't know what they did to maintain it, and I don't know. Like, I don't have a connection to whatever they want. When I want something, I have a whole story behind why I want it. But that's just me. Anyways, I can celebrate your growth even when it changes the relationship. I promote it. My motto, even younger me, I always told people, if it ever come to a point where you have to choose yourself and or choose a relationship, choose a friendship, choose anything, baby, choose it. I will gladly leave. There's no love lost. I had to learn that, but especially growing up, being a friendly person, and then you have so many people who beefed out and they know you friendly. They met you friendly. That's what you friends with them for, because you were friendly when you met them. All of a sudden, they expecting you to switch up the game and pick a side and all this other stupid ass shit. Like, nah, I'm not doing that. Especially because a lot of the times it will be girls. Like, I'm not about what I look like being in a woman beef. I'm not picking no sides with no women. I don't have nothing to do with that. Or like, so it's very strange. But then them same people will be mad saying you too friendly. And that's why how you get them is how you lose them is really, I've lived it. How you get people is really how you lose them. When I was on social media, people would follow me for my humor. My humor would never change. My jokes would change, but my humor would stay in a certain type of thing. I always would roast people on reality TV. I always subtweeted my coworkers, not people that follow me on social media, because I was always the person who knew better than to let my coworkers find me. I had a burner account for coworkers. I had a burner account for coworkers and family members. That was a cookie cutter account that posted Bible scriptures every day. So, and them same people who liked me for my jokes, whenever they were feeling insecure about something, all of a sudden them same jokes became pointed at them. And now I'm subtweeting them, even though it's literally my whole algorithm of the way I spoke was never about people, because I never saw fit to do that. For me, I'm a very direct person. If it was an issue, number one, if we know each other in real life, I'm not putting it on the internet in hopes that you see it or putting it on the internet to slight you. It is what it is. And not to mention, honestly, certain things are not worth talking about, because if I deem it to be a part of your personality, I'm not in the business of changing people. Even for the Bible readers, the Bible say God is a God of free will. So even he not trying to change people. As much as people be lying on God, God put this on my heart, God told me to do this. What God? If you claim you Christian, and for me, I'm not a religious person. I believe in a lot of stuff. I believe in miracles. Love is a miracle. But at the end of the day, let me reel it back in. We was about to go somewhere else. Connection is strengthened through recognition. Some people cannot make meaningful connections because they have never developed a meaningful relationship with themselves. They do not know what they value without an audience. They do not know what they enjoy without a trend. They do not know what they believe without a group. They do not know who they are without opposition. So instead of meeting another person, two social performances meet. Two mass exchange information. Two brains evaluate compatibility. Then everyone wonders why they feel lonely in crowded rooms. Baby, I don't. I feel like a parent watching their children when I'm in public, because it's a whole the societies that I see lately, because I don't really be feeling like that when I'm out of town all of the time. And I'm not gonna be that person to just throw behaviors places I've never been before. That's ignorant as fuck. But in this little area, baby, it looked like it be number toddlers out there. I was shocked today. One of the people at the gym who looked very disciplined, that's why you can't judge a book by its cover, randomly started complaining to me about a speeding ticket they got. And the only reason they got the speeding ticket is because they was texting while they was driving and they didn't see the speed trap. Thankfully, the officer didn't give them a ticket for the phone, but they did get a ticket for speeding. And it's like, yeah, anyways. When private problems become public entertainment, modern platforms. Oh, and speaking of that, I am so glad during my social media time that I never was that person. It is so much stuff that happened in life during my time on social media, my life around me, people I know, and I never put it on the internet. So I have nothing to like, whew. And baby, it was like I may have cryptically posted about it, but you literally would have to have seen the exact post to know that that was about this and know me in real life to know that. So baby, I dodged a lot. Ooh, sorry to y'all people that put everything online. Modern platforms train people to externalize unfinished thoughts. A problem appears. Before reflection, there is a post. Before a plan, there is a poll. Before a private conversation, there is a public announcement. Before professional support, there is an audience. Seeking help is not weakness. Not to mention, the longer you do it, the more it becomes a part of your behavior and your patterns, which means that at a certain point, you don't even think about it anymore. It's just stimulus response. The stimulus is you feeling sad. The response is that you usually post about it. The stimulus is that you lonely. The response is that you get on dating apps, or like the people, the real freaky people, they go meet in wooded parks and then in bathrooms and all this other stuff. But that's a whole different story. Yeah, so it becomes a habit. Community matters, advice matters, counseling matters, mentorship matters, but there is a difference between seeking support and surrendering authorship. A temporary wave of sympathy may feel like resolution. It is not always resolution. Not to mention, baby, the internet is literally the court of public opinion, the same court of public opinion people always talk about. If you are in a vulnerable state and you decide to shut stuff on the internet, baby, you better get off as soon as you post, because everyone is not going to uplift you. Everyone is not going to agree with you. That's the way it is online. It's not. It's the only way you can change that is if you were to have a group that had requirements to get in, and there was specific people in there. And even then, yes, the people may be commenting words of well wishes, but do they really mean that? You do not know. And what do you need them for? Do you need them to stitch up your wounds? Like if you bleeding, if you cut yourself, you gonna, like, is TikTok and social media gonna come and put a band-aid on it and kiss it like they used to do for the babies? No. And I mean, it's understandable, but you have to get better with emotions, because that's your weaknesses. The people who supporting you today, seeing your weaknesses today when y'all fall out, because the internet is very fickle. The way people are so emotionally charged, everyone is an activist, everyone is this and that, even though in real life they're not contributing nothing to the groups that they claim to be defending. They're not moving them forward in any kind of way. They're not making any accomplishments. They're not being a better person in their own world. Anyways, so yeah, what you give up today is what's going to be used against you tomorrow. I learned that as a kid. Shout out to me having snake hyenas as family members, because I learned that quick, baby. You cannot tell people everything. Sometimes you got to make up fake tea about yourself just to test the bitch out. The algorithm may eventually carry the story outside the original community. Now the vulnerable confession is placed in front of audiences with different values, different assumptions, and different intentions. Not to mention, y'all is not going to stop until people going to start being put in conservatorships over social media. Social media, at one point, social media didn't matter. It was just a distraction on the phone. It was just like a game to people. If a person saw you was tweeting, they didn't know what that was. It didn't really matter to them. Then businesses started picking up on it. People still wasn't really rocking with it. But now social media has been around over 20 years now, to the point that it is a part of legal processes. It is a part of contracts. It is a part of custody cases. Evidence from social media is used in court cases. Social media is the reason why certain people start getting investigated. Like, y'all really need to chill, because y'all are entirely too reckless on here. Y'all don't think about what y'all doing. Every little thing y'all do on here could be used against you in a court of law. Any law that is a law right now, like no texting and driving, how many videos of millions of videos of people recording and driving, even if it's a positive message? I'll be so sad when I see that, because it'll be a person with wisdom. And I'm like, damn, they wise, but not wise enough to know that they dumbass got the background showing that they driving right now. Like, not to mention, y'all have a lot of people that y'all making enemies out of. The first thing people do when they beefing with you online is find ways to destroy you. Now, luckily for y'all be beefing with a lot of slow people, so they're not crafty like that at all. And thankfully for y'all, I don't engage in mortal discourse at all. I'm a legal eagle. That's where I take it to, and that's where I'm at right now. Like, And it's not with regular people because I really don't care about people as far as enough to beef with them. I would care about you better in your life and maybe being of assistance or maybe being of an inspiration to that. But all of that other razzle dazzle y'all be doing and the amount of hours y'all spend discussing these musty ass celebrities, baby. The person who asks for help becomes content. Their lowest moment becomes a reaction video. Their failure becomes a debate. Their pain becomes an example used by strangers. This is why discernment matters. Not every truth belongs on every platform. Not every audience deserves access. Not every question should be crowdsourced. Some situations require reflection. Some require legal advice. Some require therapy. Some require financial counseling. Some require a library card, which is completely free. I had a good meal before this. So I guess all of this talking, my stomach is like, bitch, I ain't even done digesting. Anyways, some require a library card, a class, a mentor, a notebook, a walk, or a private conversation with someone trustworthy. Privacy is not dishonesty. Privacy is sometimes the workshop where wisdom is built. Participating in your own rescue. Psychology uses the term learned helplessness to describe patterns that can develop when people repeatedly experience situations as uncomfortable and uncontrollable and eventually stop acting purposefully, even when possibilities for action later appear. It is a serious concept and should not be casually used to diagnose strangers. But we can still observe a broader cultural habit. People are becoming less practiced at solving manageable problems independently. A minor inconvenience becomes a crisis. A confusing bill becomes a public meltdown before anyone reads the statement. A workplace problem becomes an online announcement before the employee reviews the handbook. Shout out to that girl who got on TikTok and told about the job about to secretly fire somebody, and she was shocked. Like, a career setback becomes a permanent identity. A rejection becomes proof that no opportunity exists. A lost password becomes total panic. A disagreement becomes a call for strangers to decide who is right. When every answer is immediately outsourced, self-trust does not get exercised. And self-trust is like a muscle. It grows through use. You solve one small problem, then another. You survive one unfamiliar environment. You learn a new system. You make one informed decision without applause. Eventually, your nervous system collects evidence. I can encounter difficulty without collapsing. I can learn what I do not know. I can ask for help without surrendering responsibility. I can change direction without becoming a failure. That is not hyper independence. Healthy individuality is not refusing all support. It is participating in your own rescue. Not to mention, us as humans, we are moldable. All of us. Now, I'm going to take it there. All of us, in some way, shape, or form. Even if you don't have no legs and no arms, we are all able to be molded a certain way. And once you decide that you want a certain aspect, a certain character quality, a certain response to things, you can work on it. It happens. For me, I never, ever thought I would see the day where I could be driving and a road hazard makes my tire explode and I just keep driving. Like, of course I slow down and put on my hazard lights because I'm not the people on the road that be around here with no, not using proper signaling. However, it wasn't like, oh my God, like, no, it was literally, I know how to change a tire. Let me change this tire. And it happened right before I got to my destination. So I went in my destination, handled my business, went out there, changed my tire, and then I went my happy ass home. And then the next day I went and got a new tire because that's how simple it was. Because for me, I probably experienced probably 15, 16 blowouts being the driver, not including the ones that I was a passenger for in my life for various reasons. I can gratefully say I didn't cause any of them. And it wasn't due to neglect. It was legit blowouts. And over time, I realized it's like, as long as I'm doing a certain activity, I'm at risk for worst case scenario. As long as I'm using a computer, I'm at risk for electricity to go out. I'm at risk for the hard drive to be corrupted. So what do I do to prevent that? I'm conscious with using the cloud. I'm conscious with backing up on different devices. With cars, I'm conscious with having money for, at minimum, a tire. That's the minimum I need to have if I'm going to be driving a vehicle, because a vehicle is an actual machine, regardless of how we oversimplify it because we so used to cars, especially for people who have transportation. But a car is a machine, and machine have moving parts. Parts break, parts expire, parts need to be changed. Some parts may be defective. That's why for people who buy cars, you need to get to a point to start looking at recalls. Like, forget the name. Start looking at recalls. I'm gonna have to put that up on a new video. There's a website of all of the SCC or FE, one of them 3-letter word filings from companies where it's usually not mainstream, and it shows you all of the different flaws that their products and their vehicles and stuff have. Anyways, career adaptability is a form of wealth. I have worked in multiple career fields. Give it up for me in my multiple career fields. Well, I'll be trying to talk into that. Okay, that's enough. That's too much. I have worked in multiple career fields. Each field gave me something. And the reason why, it was not by choice, and it was not by me wanting to be Ash Ketchum, guy to catch them all. Like, literally, I am the king of pivoting. When one door closed, I built another one. When call center wasn't calling bike, I took my ass to the warehouse. When warehouses walked it out, where did I work for a while? Okay, we can skip that. I'm not even going to include the less than 3-month positions because those were just fun. But then from there, I went to the cruise ship. Oh no, let me roll it back. 2015, I was doing a construction project for the Freeport LMP. Then 2016 was the cruise ship, and then 2016 I became a groundskeeper. Then from 2016 to 2018 I was a groundskeeper, and then I also had a second job doing fast food, because you can't ever have too much money, especially like I was partially financially literate and I wasn't financially responsible at all. So a second job gave me some breathing room. And then from there, 2018, I worked offshore until, the great crush. And yeah. So for me, the moral of that story is that please don't be one of them people online who can't find a job in your career field and you crying because you about to lose everything. Baby, the minute you lose your job, if you got to go work at McDonald's, as long as this is my motto, and I expect people to think like this, because even people who used to be thinking that they could just get money from me, they didn't even think like that. But you're going to benefit from me and my hard work anyway so much. But any money is better than no money. People be thinking that, I'm not saying to take a career that you don't want, but when it comes to your stability, baby, you got to take preference out the window. If you let yourself fall off because you was picky, so be it. And I see a lot of that, but that's not my place. I'm not y'all God. I'm not y'all president. I'm not y'all Paul, your mom, your auntie, your cousin, none of them. Each field gave me something: a new vocabulary, a new understanding of people, a new technical skill, a new way to respond under pressure, a new awareness of how organization functions, a new example of what I wanted and what I did not want. Some people view career changes only as instability, but changing fields can also build range. You learn that your identity is larger than the job title. You learn that knowledge transfers. Customer service becomes communication. Physical labor becomes discipline. Administrative work becomes organization. Technical work becomes problem solving. Leadership becomes conflict management. Survival becomes adaptability. A career is one vehicle through life. It is not the total definition of the driver. When people believe only one respectable form of employment is available to them, a layoff can feel like the end of the world. Now that we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. I got laid off at 3. You belong to me. I belong to you. But the world is larger than one company, larger than one industry, larger than one professional image. There is usually work somewhere. It may not be your preferred title. It may not impress your social group. It may not produce immediate prestige, but honest transitional work can protect the home, buy time, preserve dignity, and fund the next chapter. Sometimes prosperity requires doing what supports the future rather than what flatters the present. American Job Center provides free employment related help, including job search and training support through a nationwide network. Career One Stop also maintains tools for career exploration and training. Write that down. There is no shame in rebuilding. Mud is still material. Past generations did not always inherit paved roads. Many people carve paths through uncertainty, limited technology, discrimination, disasters, economic changes, and incomplete information. Their lives were not easy because they complained less. Their strength came from developing capacity. We can do the same without romanticizing suffering. Prosperity redefined. Prosperity is often confused with display, but prosperity is not merely what people can see. Prosperity is capacity. It is having enough internal and external sources to respond to life. Prosperity can look like money in an emergency fund, a reliable vehicle without an unbearable payment, skills that transfer to another industry, food in the home, a healthy body, a calmer nervous system, access to information, a network of trustworthy people, the ability to understand a contract, the ability to recognize a scam, the ability to cook, to learn, to rest without guilt, to walk away from exploitation, to enjoy something that does not photograph well. Prosperity includes money, but it is larger than money. Some people possess expensive objects but have no margin. One emergency could collapse the entire display. Other people appear ordinary but possess time, options, skills, patience, and peace. That is well too. Yeah, I cosplay as being poor sometimes. Minus the hygiene. I don't play with hygiene, but based on the current goalposts for what living good look like, I live below that. You ain't about to catch me slipping. The free world people sleep on. Not to mention one random thing. How y'all be flashing and telling you, like, showing luxury, showing where y'all live at, showing cash money online, telling people where you get your money from, especially if you get paid cash at your job. So not only do people know where you live at, they know what you look like, they know your daily habits, and to put the cherry on the cheesecake, y'all walk around with y'all head down. Are y'all slow? Like, the eaters are still out there. You will get eaten up, especially due to the fact that you're on the World Wide Web. So a person knows what city you live in. They may not necessarily live in your city, but anyways, the free world people sleep on. One reason people overspend is that social media presents consumption as the primary doorway to experience. Buy the ticket, book the flight, order the outfit, reserve the table, upgrade the device. But there is an entire free and low cost world that many people sleep on. Start with the public library. A library is not merely a room filled with books. Depending on the branch and local systems, libraries may connect people with computer access, internet access, digital literacy lessons, job search assistance, resume help, language learning resources, research databases, audiobooks and ebooks, community meetings, technology workshops, maker spaces, author discussions, creative writing groups, local history programs, financial literacy events, artistic gatherings, children's activities. So for y'all people who have children, start taking y'all children to these things. Like, you shouldn't have had kids if you're not going to raise them right. All of these people y'all see on the internet that y'all complain about, of different, of all over the world, but for America, in America, of all races, of all religions, of all sexual preferences, that because they're all doing stuff, it's not no one group of people. Ain't no monolith in this bit. Um, like, it's misery. Misery is the nucleus of all of these behaviors. These people are not happy. Happy people does not cause a ruckus. Baby, who's calling me? Hold on. Let me shut. It's going down. Okay, quiet rooms. They also have microwaves at some of the libraries out here. And then I noticed they have an area where people can sit under AC for people who may need some shade or to cool off. Especially if you ever have a outage in your house or a broken AC, you can go to the library and stay cool instead of baking in your house. And simply a safe place to think. The Institute of Museum and Library Services, identifies digital access, broadband access, workforce development, education, health information, and digital literacy among the areas libraries help communities navigate. The Public Library Association also supports digital literacy programs, while Digital Learn offers free self-paced lessons for developing basic digital skills. Look beyond the library too. Search the calendars of city parks and recreation departments, community centers, local museums, and their free admission days. And the library also, well, the library out here, when you have a library card, you can request free tickets for certain museums. Check your local library. Varies. Universities and community colleges, art councils, neighborhood associations, botanical gardens, historical societies, volunteer organizations, houses of worship, meditation groups, community gardens, walking clubs, public lectures, open mic events, book clubs, technology meetups, business development organizations, career centers, health fairs, cultural festivals, spiritual discussion groups, wellness spaces, free concerts and parks, gallery openings, student theatrical productions, public rehearsals, local government workshops. Many people claim there is nothing to do because the free world is not marketed as aggressively as the expensive world. A free class does not have the advertising budget of a luxury brand. A public lecture may not appear between viral videos. And also, some people subconsciously value things they had to pay for or work hard for. They don't value things that's given to them for some people. A community gardening event may not have an influencer campaign, but lack of visibility is not lack of value. You have to search intentionally. Instead of asking the algorithm what to do this weekend, ask your city, ask your library, your parks department, your local college, a museum, a community center. Search free events near me, then verify the details with the organization hosting the event. Your life may not need a more expensive identity. It may need exposure to a larger world. And resource dashboard. There is no shame in using a resource. A resource is not evidence that you failed. It is evidence that civilization created a tool and you were wise enough to use it. For immediate emotional distress in America, call or text 988 or use the 988 Lifeline chat. The service is available around the clock. If there is immediate physical danger, contact emergency services. For text-based crisis support, text HOME, HOME, to 741-741 to reach crisis text line in the United States. Call 211 to ask about local food, housing, utility, health, employment, and community support programs. Services differ by area, so speak with the local specialist about what is available. Use Find Help to search for free and reduce cost programs involving food, housing, medical care, transportation, and financial assistance. Use Career One Stop in your nearest American Job Center for career exploration, job search help, and training information. Use the FDIC Money Smart program for a free financial education tools. Its self-paced resources cover practical financial concepts and are available in English and Spanish. Use mymoney.gov for federal financial literacy courses, calculators, planning tools, and checklists. For entrepreneurship, the Small Business Administration provides learning resources and access to business support programs. SCORE offers free mentoring, workshops, and educational resources for people starting, growing, or changing a business. You heard that? And again, ask your library what is included with your card, or go to their website and just browse around. Be a tourist on your own library website. Some of the most valuable tools in your community may have already been purchased with public funding. You're not getting something for nothing. You are using shared infrastructure designed to improve the community. But in my experience, I've witnessed people have recommendations for resources, and the first thing they did is say, I'm not about to do that, and then continue to struggle for another 40 years. The power of not participating. Watching from the sidelines can become a superpower. When you stop participating automatically, you begin noticing the cycle. The item everyone had to own disappears from conversation. The restaurant with the impossible reservation becomes ordinary. Like them restaurants, especially drive-throughs, that have the lines down the street, and then they go from that to closing because they don't have business anymore. Like the Krispy Kreme that was on Westheimer. The device that represented the future becomes a trade-in. The aesthetic everyone copy becomes embarrassing. The influencer promoting simplicity launches another product line. The people who called you boring begin complaining about debt. The people who mocked your ordinary car begin panicking over repairs and payments. The people racing to stay socially afloat begin crying as though the sky is falling when money, employment, attention, or connection disappears. That does not mean we should celebrate their pain. It means we should learn from the pattern. People often build lives that require uninterrupted income, uninterrupted approval, uninterrupted access, and uninterrupted performance. But life interrupts. Employment changes, health changes, relationships, technology, markets, natural disasters happen. People relocate. Oh, and baby, the natural disasters. That's all I'm gonna say. Algorithms move on. An identity built entirely on external continuity will panic whenever continuity breaks. Individuality gives you an internal space to return to. You can lose a role without losing yourself. You can change careers without becoming worthless. You can wear ordinary clothing without becoming invisible to yourself. It's still clothes. Like, it's just a shared agreement that luxury is value. If you were to take a person from a different country who never heard of any of these things and had them pick out a bunch of outfits off of racks, them people probably not even gonna pick up half of the designer stuff. They're gonna pick what's comfortable. They're gonna pick what color they like. They're gonna pick stuff that fit them. You are literally slaves to someone else's pockets because all the person has to do is sell you the idea of luxury. How many times have we seen $500-$600 outfits and the shirt have holes in it, the jeans have holes in it? And not to mention, I just read a book. I didn't even know she was a purse owner, but I was reading a book about a business lady, and she was going to the fast fashion people to make her luxury bag, and people still was paying hundreds of dollars for it, but she was only paying like $30 a purse. So, I mean, that's good for the people, but if you the people that who money it's coming out of, good luck. You can rebuild without announcing every brick. And people try to compare stuff to Hunger Games, but in Hunger Games, the poor people wasn't dressed nice, as far as in designer and luxury and all of this other stuff. So go ahead with that. The individuality and prosperity audit. Here is a practical exercise. Take a notebook and answer these questions honestly at your own risk, leisure, whatever. What would I still want if no one can see it? Which goals enter my life through repeated exposure? What am I paying to remain recognizable to a group? Which parts of my personality are adaptive performances? What problem solving skill have I allowed to weaken? What free resource have I ignored? What does prosperity mean in my actual life? And if you're one of those people who every new year you got to put on social media how you cut people off, you're the problem. Maybe the people really did need to be cut off, but the fact that you keep repeating this cycle and you haven't noticed it, but everybody on your timeline did, you're the problem for yourself. The greatest threat to the multiverse is you, Dr. Strange. Section 19, a 30-day return to self. For the next 30 days, try this. Reduce exposure. Unfollow or mute accounts that repeatedly manufacture dissatisfaction. Do not do it from anger. Do it from stewardship. Attention is part of your environment. And if you always watching content that upsets you, that makes you sad, that makes you scared, your body's recording that. Your body don't realize that social media, your body just recording the fact that you're in an environment that's making you sad or stressed. And you spiking cortisol and all of this. Anyways, week 2, delay desire. Create a 72-hour waiting period for non-essential purchases. For expensive purchases, extend the waiting period. Let the emotional temperature fall before the money leaves. Week 3, build capacity. Use one free resource. Attend a library event. Complete a digital learn lesson. Visit an American Job Center. Use an FDIC Money Smart tool. Attend a community event. Learn one practical skill. Week 4, create without display. Do something meaningful without posting it. Read a book, take a walk, cook a meal, visit a museum, write, volunteer, exercise, study, pray, meditate, rest. Allow the experience to belong only to your life. This can feel strange at first. We have become accustomed to converting experiences into proof, but a private life is still a real life. Conclusion, become the original. Individuality is not rebellion for entertainment. Also, too, don't let the people on the internet lie to y'all and act like everyone was so original in the 90s. Yes, there was a lot of originality, but people still were copycats. That's why they had the phrase, if your friends jump off the bridge, would you jump off the bridge too? Technically, yes, because humans, especially if you're not aware of the way your brain works, are made to fit in groups with people, except for the people who don't care about the groups because they realize the danger of it. Or maybe they just reject it from the group and then they have resentment and they pretend like they don't want to be a part of the group so they don't look like they reject it. Individuality is not rebellion for entertainment. It is not disagreeing with everyone. It is not isolation. It is not superiority. It is not refusing influence. Individuality is conscious participation in your own formation. It is knowing what you borrowed, knowing what you inherited, what you chose, what no longer fits. Duplication creates people who look connected but feel unseen. It creates people who appear successful but feel unsafe. It creates people who possess the symbols of prosperity without the structure of prosperity. You may be struggling because you're trying to succeed on someone else's map. You may be lonely because you inherited membership instead of experiencing connection. You may be financially exhausted because you are paying the admission fee for a group that never truly knew you. You may be emotionally tired because you have spent years translating yourself into versions other people could easily assume, but you are not trapped. Self authorship can begin quietly. One unfollow, one delayed purchase, one private decision, one new class, one library visit, one boundary, one skill, one honest answer, one life chosen deliberately. You do not need to become a more impressive copy. You need to become a more complete original. The world does not need another duplicate of what is already popular. It needs the perspective that could only come through your history, your survival, your questions, your pattern recognition or lack thereof, your mistakes, your discipline, your compassion, your uncharted territory. Your life is not late because it does not resemble someone else's timeline. Your life is not empty because it is not constantly being displayed. Your life is not unsuccessful because it cannot be summarized by a brand. True prosperity begins when you stop purchasing evidence that you matter and begin building a life that proves it to you. In the comments, share one goal, purchase, or expectation you realize was borrowed from someone else, and then share one part of your life you are ready to choose for yourself. And that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Amen.